Today, we're going to be looking at Synology backup solutions and the different tools that you can use to implement a backup strategy that's right for you. So firstly, we're going to have a look at our backup objectives. So these are the things that you should be considering and that you need to consider when you're implementing a backup strategy. And then I will be taking you through the solutions that Synology offers, how they compare to one another, when it's best to use each one as well. And lastly, we'll have a look at some companies that have found Synology's backup solutions beneficial to their business. So we'll start with our backup objectives. So like I said, this is what you're going to consider before you implement your backup solution. So this is what we should be thinking about. There's quite a few things that you need to consider before you implement your backup solution. But we've got three really important questions that you should be asking yourself. So first question is, what are you going to be backing up? Second question, where are you going to store your backups? And lastly, what are your recovery objectives? So to answer our first question, we're going to take a look at what exactly can you back up with Synology. So there are many different devices you can back up with Synology. These include your employee laptops and workstations, your cloud storage accounts, your servers and virtual machines, and your Synology NAS. Moving on to your second consideration, here are your options of where you can store your backups with Synology and in general. So you've got three options for this. You can either back up on-site, you can back up off-site, or you can store data in the cloud. But what would be best? Well, actually, the answer is a combination of all three of these. And lastly, we're going to consider your recovery objectives. So this is how quickly and easily your data can be accessed in case of a disaster. So for this, you need to ask yourself the following questions. So firstly, how critical is your uptime to your business environment? So this has to be sort of considered in how the downtime required to restore your files is going to affect your productivity. We also need to consider how accessible do you want your data to be? So do you plan on restoring your data in bulk or in individual files? And what permissions are required to perform the recovery? So do you just want it to be your admin or IT team to have the permissions to restore the lost data, or do you want to give individual team members the options to restore their own data? So once you've considered all that, and once you've made all your considerations before you start backing up, now we're going to go over the backup solutions that Synology can offer and find the right one that's right for you. Synology DiskStation Manager offers a big range of backup options, so we're going to have a look at these solutions next. We're also going to have a look at how they compare to each other and when it is best to use each one. So firstly, I'm going to go over the packages for backing up your endpoints. We'll start with Active Backup for Business. So this is used to back up your Synology NAS, your PCs and Macs, your physical servers, file servers, and virtual machines. And all these backups are stored on your Synology NAS. You can store them as bare metal images, and they have block level deduplication as well. And they come, it comes with multiple restoration methods. So you can restore from DiskStation Manager, from Recovery Media, or Virtual Machine Manager. You also have the option either to do the backups manually, or you can set your own schedule with a customizable retention policy. So this means you can keep as many versions of the files as you require. And all of this together saves you a lot of time and a lot of effort when it comes to backing up your endpoints. Then we have Synology Drive. So this is an ideal option if your business heavily relies on things like file sharing and syncing. It's really good for collaboration. It transforms your NAS into its own private cloud with its own backup features. It's also ideal for businesses with remote employees or hybrid remote employees. That's always very common nowadays. And on Synology Drive, you can back up your PC and you can access any files from your desktop or the mobile device with the app, which is free. So what's the difference between the two of them, Active Backup for Business and Synology Drive. And we're also going to have a look as well in this bit when you would use each one. So starting with Active Backup for Business, this is an all-in-one solution. So it backs up a lot of different devices to NAS. So it's ideal for companies with multiple endpoints or companies that are utilizing different types of endpoints. It's also ideal for businesses with more than one NAS because you can use Active Backup to Business to back up your NAS onto another unit. If your computer fails or it's broken, you can restore it as it was to a brand new PC, and it offers granular or full restoration and a self-restore through the Active Backup for Business portal. So this makes it a little bit easier to restore than Synology Drive. If you can't wait for the whole restoration process, because it does take some time, and you've lost your computer or you've damaged your computer or it's broken and you need your files straight away, it's very simple. You can borrow someone else's laptop, you can log into DiskStation Manager and you can access your files from there. And then, of course, we have Synology Drive. So like I said before, this is great if you are after something that's really good for file management, sharing and synchronization. It's really good for collaboration. So if your business heavily relies on that kind of thing, this is a really good option. It's ideal for sharing files across multiple business sites and for remote workers. And the drive can be accessed from your desktop or an app, and the app is available on all mobile devices, and there is no duplication of your files. Before I do my demo, have a quick drink. I'm going to show you how easy it is to restore your files with Active Backup for Business. Okay, so firstly, we've got my documents here. I've saved these on my laptop, and as you can see, there are important files here to do with my webinar and my Synology Partner Program as well. So I don't want to lose this data, so I'm going to back it up with Active Backup for Business. To back up your PC, first you need to make sure you download the Active Backup for Business agent. So you can do this by going to Synology.com and going to our downloads page. For the product type, select your NAS and then type in your product model name. Go to Desktop Utilities, find the agent, click Download, and then you can click on the version that's right for your computer, and then you use the download wizard to install the program. So once downloaded, go into this agent that you just downloaded. I'm going to open it, and then I'm going to log into my NAS with the IP address and my login credentials. And then a window will then pop up confirming that I want to do this, and I have a one-time password, so it's going to ask for that too. Once I've done this, it's then going to show me a summary of my setup, and I'm going to click OK to complete the task. And then once it's done, you'll see in the right-hand corner of my NAS that the connection has now been set up. So I'm going to go into Active Backup for Business now and find my PC. I haven't set it to backup yet, so I'm going to do that now. I'm going to go into Task List at the top and then select my computer and press Backup. This is quite a manual way of doing it, but to set up a schedule, all you have to do is click on Edit and then click on Schedule, and then you're able to do that there. So now my PC is backed up. I'm going to go ahead and delete all of my documents. I'm then going to go back into Active Backup for Business. I'm going to find my PC again, and this time I'm going to click Restore and then File and Folders, and this will open a new tab. And from here, I'm going through to find the file and folders that I want to restore. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to restore them to my PC. This stuff does take some time, so I'm skipping this bit out of the demo. But then, as you can see, when this is finished, I can go back into my documents, and all the files that I've deleted they're now fully restored. So we have two more Active Backup for Business packages. These back up your Google Workspace and your Microsoft 365 accounts. Now, it is really important that you back up your data from these accounts. They do actually state, Google and Microsoft, in their terms and conditions that their services are not backed up. So it is your responsibility as the user to do this. So this is why Synology, we offer license-free backup packages for both of these. And these are in your DiskStation Manager. Active Backup for Google Workspace backs up your Drive, your Gmail, your contacts, and your calendar. And Active Backup for Microsoft 365 backs up your Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, Outlook, and it also backs up your contacts and calendar as well. So this protects your assets. It also holds your data for legal and compliance purposes, enhances your data restoration. It provides continuous backup, deduplication, and customized retention. And you can add as many accounts as your storage allows. That's all your endpoints and storage accounts covered. So that's how we can back up all those with Synology. Now I'm going to go over the packages we offer for backing up your Synology NAS. We'll start with Hyper Backup. So this is a very flexible app. You can back up your folders, your system settings, and your software packages to a wide range of destinations on and off your NAS. And it offers block level incremental backup. So this significantly reduces the amount of storage you need for these backups, which is quite handy. Like the others, it also offers flexible scheduling options, and you can also retain as many or as few backups as you need. You decide this when you're setting up your schedule and your retention. And when you're setting up your backup schedule, you'll notice with this one that the backups come as you can have them as regularly as once per hour. You can have them less than that, but it's quite nice to know that they can be quite regular if you like. It's also very efficient and reliable. So the deduplication of the data minimizes your storage consumption, which saves you space. And the compression reduces your storage use as well. And lastly, you can encrypt against any unauthorized access to your files. Our next option for backing up the NAS is snapshot replication. So this is a read-only copy of your files, which is a snapshot of the files at the time that they were replicated. You can back up either to your local NAS or to a secondary NAS. These backups use very little space. It's very, very good for saving space. And the backups are even more frequent than Hyper Backup. So for a shared folder, you can back up as regularly as every 5 minutes. And for LUNs, you can back up as regularly as every 15 minutes. And you can also, like with Hyper Backup, set the schedule to suit your needs. So now we're going to have a look at the difference between the two of these and when you would use each one. So Hyper Backup. Active Backup for Business, I mentioned, was your all-in-one solution for backing up your endpoints to your NAS. Hyper Backup is your all-in-one solution for backing up your NAS, sorry, I should say, to a variety of other destinations. So this includes Synology C2 Cloud, your remote NAS, local folders, USB, other cloud services, and rsync servers as well. So this makes it very ideal for an offsite backup of your NAS. As I've just gone through, you've got plenty of options to choose for this. You can set up your backups to run automatically. So this saves you having to remember to do it or finding the time to do it, because they can be quite time consuming, can't they? You can set up a customized schedule. Like I said, this can run up to once per hour. You also have the benefit as well, if you want to back up locally to your NAS, you have the benefit of having 2 copies of the file on your NAS. So these would be saved to different volumes. So then if one volume becomes corrupted, you then have a copy of that data on the uncorrupted volume. It offers an admin-only restore, so it's very ideal for general purpose backups. And as well as your data and your files, you can also back up your configurations and your packages with this one too. So for snapshot replication, this is a read-only backup, and it also backs up your data, but it doesn't back up your packages and configurations like Hyper Backup does. But it is built for enterprise with a test failover and the option to recover from Windows. It's ideal for frequent data changes and also large amounts of data changing over a short period of time. And this is because you can back up your files as regularly as every 5 minutes. So this would be more ideal if the once per hour that you get with Hyper Backup isn't enough for you. So next, I'm going to show you how you can restore your files with snapshot replication. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. The first way I'm going to show you is via the app. And the second way is via Windows Explorer. I'm going to show you how you can restore with these methods, and I'm going to also go through when you would use each one of these methods. Okay, so the first way you can do this from the snapshot replication package in your DiskStation Manager. This is ideal backup from an admin perspective. So firstly, I'm going to go into my file station and delete my important files, my webinar. And then I'm going to go into my snapshot replication app and I'm going to click recovery down the left-hand side. So with my folder webinar selected, I'm going to press recover at the top. And this will pop up with a window, and this is all the snapshots that I've got taken so far of this. So it's been set up for a few days with a snapshot every 5 minutes. There's quite a lot to choose from, but for this demonstration, I'm going to pick the most recent one. So once that's selected, I'm then going to go into action, and then I'm going to restore to this snapshot. I will confirm my decision. You press OK. And once it's done that, it will recover your files. It doesn't take too long. And then once that's done, I'm going to go back into my webinar folder, and then you'll see that my webinar is back. So I've not lost it. And then for the second method, I'm going to show you how to do this, but in Windows File Explorer. So this would be the ideal method from an end user perspective. So at the top of Windows File Explorer, I'm going to enter my NAS IP address. So I've already done this before. So for me, it's just going to pop up on the drop down menu like that. So that's nice and easy. But if you've not done this before, you can find your NAS IP address by logging into your DiskStation Manager and finding it in the right-hand corner, like I'm showing you there. It's then going to ask me for my credentials to log into my NAS. And then once I've logged in, it will take me to the folders on my NAS. If I right-click my webinar folder and then more options, there will be an option to restore to previous versions, which I'm going to click on. And then like with the app, it's going to show me all of the taken snapshots and the previous versions of my folder ready for me to restore. So like the last one, I'm going to click on the most recent one. I'm going to press restore, confirm my decision. And again, it doesn't take too long, it takes a few seconds maybe. It's fairly quick. And then once it's done, I'm going to go into my folder, and as you can see, the files are there and they have been restored. So far we've gone up how to back up your endpoints. So this is using Active Backup for Business and Synology Drive. And then we've also looked at how to back up your NAS. So this is with Hyper Backup and Snapshot Replication. But we also do have cloud-based solutions that both work with and without a NAS. So I'm going to go into that as well. So firstly, why would you use cloud storage instead of a NAS? More and more people are finding themselves in remote working situations, hybrid remote working situations. So either working from home full-time or part-time. It may be that you have business trips around the country or abroad. But reality is that not everyone is in the office every day anymore. And also not every company actually needs an office anymore. So that might be a reason why you're considering cloud storage instead of a NAS. So for Synology C2, this is the cloud solution for all your backup needs. So you can back up your PCs and your servers direct to the cloud. You don't necessarily need a NAS for this. There are packages for both end users and enterprises alike, and it comes C2 transfer, C2 identity, C2 storage and C2 backup. Now, I'm not going to go into C2 transfer and C2 identity today because they're more relevant to password saving and file transfer. C2 storage and C2 backup are our backup solutions. So I'm going to have a look at those now. We'll start with C2 backup. So this is the NAS-free cloud solution that we have. So if you don't need a NAS, it's perfect for backing up Windows servers, PCs, and your Microsoft 365 accounts direct to the cloud. There's multiple restore options available with bare metal and file level backups as well. And it also offers flexible scheduling with a customizable retention policy. So far, we've talked about kind of backing up on NAS and backing up on cloud as two kind of separate things. So we're going to have a look at C2 storage. Now, this combines the NAS and a cloud for an all-in-one solution. So firstly, it's competitively priced against our major competitors. You use Hyper Backup, which I mentioned before, to back up the data on your NAS into the CT cloud. So this is ensuring that your NAS, the data on your NAS is continuously protected and available. And then cross-site synchronization. You can do this if you have multiple NAS, you can do cross-site synchronization with hybrid share, which we will have a look at right now. So like I said, this is multi-site file sharing. It works by uploading your files to a hybrid share folder in C2 Cloud. Then you mount that folder onto your NAS, and the C2 Cloud makes the files in this folder accessible to any business sites with the folder mounted on your NAS. So you can request your data from your C2 Cloud that you need for your projects. It's streaming data, so you don't have to worry about downloading anything, and the only limit to the speed of it is your internet connection. So if you've got a good internet connection, it's really, really good. You download the data that you want from C2 onto your hybrid share folder on your NAS, and the most frequently accessed data is stored in a cache on that NAS. If you don't want to lose any files, so if your cache gets filled up and then it starts to replace the files, if you don't want to lose any files, you can pin these manually. So then that makes those files available whenever you need them. And you can also integrate it with Synology Drive, which I spoke about earlier. So this means you can access it from your desktop or your mobile or your web browser. So far, I have run through the packages that Synology offers to back up your endpoints, to back up your NAS, and to back up your Data2 Cloud. There's a lot of options there. So to make it easier to sort through these, I'm now going to look at a couple of businesses that have really benefited from our backup solutions. I'm going to go through the backup solutions that we offered them, and like I said, the benefits that they've had from this. So starting with BBC Media Action, just a little bit about the company to start with. This is the BBC's international development charity. They believe in the power of media and communication to help reduce poverty around the world. They reach over 100 million people per year. So they do very important work. When they approached us, they had a lot of big challenges with their storage and backup. So firstly, it's a worldwide company. They have a head office in London, and then they have multiple offices scattered around the world. And often these offices are in locations with connectivity issues and limited IT resources. In these remote offices, the staff shoot and edit their footage on the site. But before Synology, they didn't have an easy way to send this data back to London for their backup. Also in their offices, they were collaborating, they collaborate a lot, and they were using portable drives to collaborate on this work. The portable drives were very susceptible to data loss. They did actually lose several months worth of work in a fire in one of the offices by using these portable drives. And like I said, they focus on a lot of collaboration. So using the portable drives is quite unproductive because they had to take it in turns to use them. They also found that a lot of their files were getting overwritten and duplicated, and this wasn't really ideal. So they were really keen to get their storage and backup facilities upgraded. So luckily, this is where Synology came in. So after contacting us, we started off by implementing a rack station in their London head office as a central storage hub. Then a further 10 units were configured and then shipped out to selected offices. So using the Synology Central Management System, they were able to be connected to the unit in London. And also by configuring them before shipping them out, it meant that the staff in these remote areas were able to have them up and running fairly quickly. Hyper backup was then set to a regular backup schedule. So this backed up the remote office NAS to the NAS in the London head office. And now the London office receives daily automated updates from their remote office. So this solved their backup issue to the London head office. And then the problems that they had sharing their files locally for their collaborative work in the remote offices was then solved with Synology Drive. So this eliminated the duplication and the overwriting problems that they had. This made their work difficult and time consuming before, and this solved all their problems for that. So our solution provided them with a number of benefits. So the company now has peace of mind, their files are being backed up regularly, and it's all automated, so they don't have to worry about doing it themselves. And the staff in the remote offices can now collaborate easily, so it saves them time and costs, and now they can focus on their work. However, BBC Media Action approached us before we had Active Backup for Business and Hybrid Share as backup options. So if they approached us today, we might be offering them something a little bit more different, and we're going to have a look at some alternative solutions to their backup needs. So keeping the Hyper Backup as the backup solution between the remote NAS and the London head office, we could now add an extra layer of protection by backing up the remote office workstations to the remote office NAS, and this would be using Active Backup for Business. However, BBC Media Action's biggest problem was collaboration in the remote offices. So hybrid share would be more appropriate to their work environment, as it would allow them to collaborate as well as backing up their files really easily. The London head office could also have access to these files, therefore eliminating the need for hyper backups. So hybrid share would be utilised as an all-in-one solution. Hybrid share is also able to integrate with Synology Drive, meaning that the staff in the remote offices can access the hybrid share folders via their desktop and mobile Drive apps, and they can also share their work with each other. So this makes their work time more productive. An alternative backup solution that we offered was for Polaris Pharmaceutical. So a little bit about them. They develop treatments for a wide range of cancers. They are involved in every stage of the drug development process, and they also conduct their clinical studies worldwide. So again, a big worldwide company with a lot of highly important and sensitive data that needed backing up securely. So before they approached us, again, they faced a number of challenges. So they found their previous data management to be very expensive and difficult, but it's also essential that they do it because they have to meet regulatory compliance needs. So they were after something that was cheaper and more effective. Their previous system was inefficient and also required significant manual work as well. Without an automated process, the backup was also very time consuming. So they were looking for something that wouldn't strain their existing IT resources, that was easy to operate and that was also automated. And they also wanted a high level of cost effectiveness because the nature of their business was that their data capacity is continually growing. So they needed to budget and plan for that as well. So for their solution, Active Backup for Business was installed to back up their servers and their virtual machines to their main NAS. This provided the stability, efficiency and reliability, as well as the automated backup that they were asking for. Hyper Backup was then installed to back up this NAS to an external drive, so this provides the extra backup they need to meet their regulatory requirements. The company needed a second backup offsite to store their Microsoft 365 data. So for this, they used the C2 backup, and this was set to back up automatically. So it was a daily backup scheduled of all their email accounts. They enabled this by flexible scheduling and their customer retention policy as well. So this reduced their costs and simplified their IT management. This C2 Cloud was able to accommodate the continuously growing data, email data of all their employees, which I mentioned was a key requirement for the company. The C2 Cloud also acts as offsite storage, so there's no firewall or connectivity issue between the on-site and off-site backups, and there's also no maintenance of another system on-site as well. And there's also no additional purchases of licensing based on the number of 365 accounts that you have, unlike other cloud providers. So this allowed them to precisely budget their future expenses. So the benefits to their solution, they found it fully compliant with their regulatory requirements. As I said, this was very important to them. It provided automated backups and streamlined their data management. So this reduced their IT staffing costs. They no longer needed to budget for expensive backup and storage, and the license-free backup options greatly reduced their license expenses. So coming to the end of the webinar, so I'm just going to have a recap of everything we've gone through today. Firstly, we looked at our backup objectives. So this is everything you need to consider before backing up. This includes what data you're backing up, where you're storing your backups, and your objectives for recovering your lost data. We also went through the backup solutions available on DiskStation Manager. So these are the packages that back up your devices and your endpoints, your NAS, and also storing data on the cloud. I also demonstrated some of the software we have available for this as well. And then lastly, we had a look at how BBC Media Action and Polaris Pharmaceutical use Synology backup strategies and their software, and how these have benefited their businesses. So thank you very much for joining me on today's webinar.